Here are the key questions for the hazardous materials exam. Let's get started. Which of these contains the list of all hazardous materials? The hazardous materials table. This is the main reference used to identify regulated hazardous materials correctly. Let's move on. A placarded vehicle must stop at all railroad crossings within how many feet? 15 to 50 feet. This keeps the vehicle at a safe distance before crossing the tracks. Next question. How often must you check the tires on a placarded vehicle with dual tires? Every 2 hours or 100 miles. Frequent tire checks help catch problems before they become dangerous. Continuing. Who is responsible for certifying that the hazardous material has been packed correctly? The shipper. The shipper must make sure the package is properly prepared and classified. Let's continue. What is the shape of a hazardous material identification label? Diamond. That shape is used so the hazard can be recognized quickly. Next point. Where must the shipping papers be kept while the driver is in the cab? In the door pouch or on the driver's seat. They must be easy to find immediately in an emergency. Let's keep going. If you are hauling hazardous materials, you must avoid which of the following? Heavily populated areas. Routing should reduce the risk to the public whenever possible. Next question. What are the two main places the hazardous material identification number appears? On the shipping paper and the package. These two locations help responders identify the material fast. Continuing. A vehicle placarded for hazardous materials must have placards on how many sides? 4. Placards must be visible from every direction around the vehicle. Let's move on. When hauling explosives 1, 2 or 1, 3, you must not park within how many feet of the road? 5 feet. That spacing helps reduce danger if something goes wrong. Next point. If a shipment is a reportable quantity, RQ, what must appear on the shipping paper? The letters RQ. This tells responders the material has special reporting requirements. Let's continue. What is the emergency response telephone number used for? To give info to first responders about the chemicals. It provides critical guidance during a hazardous materials emergency. Next question. You should never smoke within how many feet of a vehicle loaded with flammables? 25 feet. Flammable vapors can ignite very easily from a cigarette. Continuing. Which hazard class requires a placard regardless of any amount being hauled? Poison gas 2. 3. Even a small amount of this class is extremely dangerous. Let's move on. What must a driver have on their license to transport hazardous materials? An H endorsement. That endorsement is required before hauling regulated hazmat. Next point. How many different hazard classes are there? 9. Each class identifies a different kind of hazard. Let's keep going. If you are hauling hazardous materials through a tunnel, you should check what? Local and state restrictions for that tunnel. Some tunnels restrict certain materials completely for safety reasons. Next question. What is a safe haven? An approved place for parking unattended explosives. It is a secure location designated for dangerous cargo. Continuing. A person may not smoke within 25 feet of which hazard class? Class 1 explosives. This rule helps prevent ignition near explosive materials. Next point. What color is the placard for an oxidizer? Yellow. The color helps warn everyone of fire intensification risk. Let's continue. When can you leave a placarded vehicle unattended? Only in a safe haven. Unattended hazardous cargo must be kept in secure approved locations. Next question. If you have a wreck and chemicals are leaking, you should do what first? Keep people away and upwind. Protecting people from exposure is the first priority. Continuing. What is the purpose of the dangerous placard? For mixed loads from Table 2 totaling 1,001 pounds. It simplifies placarding when several compatible hazards are loaded together. Let's move on. Where do you find the required placards for a load? On the shipping paper or manifest. You must verify the correct placards before transport begins. Next point. Which of these is a forbidden cargo for a driver? A leaking package of hazmat. Leaking cargo is unsafe and cannot be transported as is. Let's continue. The total transport index of all radioactive packages in a single vehicle must not exceed 50. This limits radiation exposure during transport. Next question. If you are hauling explosives 1, you must have what document in the cab? A written route plan. Explosive shipments require a controlled and approved travel route. Continuing. What must you do if your hazmat shipment is rejected by the consignee? Contact the shipper for instructions. You cannot just decide what to do on your own. Let's move on. When hauling hazmat, you must check your tires every time you park or stop the vehicle. Regular checks help catch dangerous tire problems early. Next point. On the shipping paper, the hazard class must be listed as the proper name and/or ID number. Accurate identification is required for legal and emergency handling. Let's continue. If you are hauling chlorine 2.3, what placard is required? Poison gas. Chlorine is a serious inhalation hazard and must be clearly marked. Next question. A hazard class name or ID number may not be used on shipping papers for non-hazardous materials. Only regulated hazardous materials need this level of identification. Continuing. What should you do if you discover a leak in your cargo tank? Do not move the vehicle more than is necessary. Limit movement so you do not worsen the leak or spread the hazard. Let's move on. Who provides the placards for the vehicle? The shipper. The shipper is responsible for giving the proper hazard markings. Next point. Cargo tanks must have what information on the spec plate? The material used to build the tank. This helps confirm the tank is suitable for its cargo. Continuing. What is the Emergency Response Guide (ERG)? A guidebook for responders to handle hazmat accidents. It gives emergency instructions for spills, leaks, and releases. Let's continue. When loading hazmat, you should never use tools that might damage the packages. Damaged packages can leak or rupture during transport. Next question. Which department regulates the transport of hazardous materials? Department of Transportation. The DOT sets the rules for hazardous materials movement. Continuing. You must notify the National Response Center if which of the following occurs. A person is killed or hospitalized. Serious incidents must be reported immediately to federal authorities. Let's move on. If your truck has no placards, you may not drive it through areas where placards are restricted by signs. Restrictions still apply even if the vehicle is not marked. Next point. What describes the amount of space a liquid can take up in a tank? Outage. This empty space allows for liquid expansion from heat. Let's continue. In Kentucky, how often must you renew your hazmat endorsement? Every 5 years. The endorsement requires periodic renewal and background review. Next question. Before loading or unloading any flammable liquids, you must ground the vehicle to prevent static. Static electricity can ignite flammable vapors quickly. Continuing. A shipping paper for hazmat must be distinguishable from other papers. It must be easy to identify in an emergency. Next point. What does the marine pollutant mark indicate? The material is harmful to fish and water. It warns of environmental danger if the substance is released. Let's continue. If you are hauling Division 1 explosives, you must not drive within 300 feet of a bridge or tunnel. These areas are especially risky for explosive cargo. Next question. When can you move a leaking hazmat vehicle? Only to get it off the road to a safe place. Movement should be minimized and done only when necessary. Continuing. If the word poison is on the label, you should not load it near food or animal feed. Cross-contamination with edible items would be extremely dangerous. Next point. Placards must be kept in what condition? Clean and readable. They must always be visible and easy to understand. Let's continue. What is the first thing you check when picking up a hazmat load? That the shipping papers match the cargo and placards. Everything must match before the vehicle leaves the yard.